systems that we use. The first energy system is called our phosphate system, and that's the initial energy that we use when it's the first 10 seconds of power, so you can hear bang, 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 as fast as you can go. That's our phosphate. Now that's energy that's stored in the muscles with ATP, and it's released into our working muscles so that we can produce that quick, powerful force. Sprints, shot putters, any power lifters, they all use that form, and it's really, that source of energy recovers really quickly. So, yep, but it only lasts about, like I said, 10 seconds, and then we go into another energy system called the lactate system. Now, when you feel your muscles getting sore, that's our lactate system. It's not the lactate itself that causes the muscle soreness. That's an old myth that people used to say. It's actually the hydrogen ions. Take that off. So hydrogen ions build up, and the lactate actually help to get rid of those ions. And the byproduct of that only lasts about 2 to 3 minutes as well. And the byproduct from that is the lactate, that muscle fatigue, that soreness that we get. And that energy system comes from glycogen in the blood. The third one, when we passed, because we went on for a bit longer than 2 minutes then, so you would have went into the aerobic system. That's when your muscles need oxygen. So the other two systems, they can produce that energy really quickly. That doesn't need oxygen to do it, but with this next energy system, it's depleted the other two energy systems, so it needs to get the energy from somewhere, and that comes from our protein only in emergency, so that's the last thing to burn, and it comes from our fat and our glycogen stores as well, so it depends what you eat. And when you use all of that up, it takes quite a long time to replenish that. You have to refuel, so you have to eat. And that's why it's really important to eat after you exercise. Just have something light, like an apple, half an hour after you exercise to recharge energy. Yeah. Okay, so people with shoulder injuries. People with shoulder injuries, it's really important that we do strengthen the muscles around the joints to make it stronger so that there's less chance of them performing the injury again. But to do that, there's a few exercises that we have to avoid that could make the injury worse. Lat pull down, bench press. If you go too deep, that can be bad for your shoulders. You can do a bench press, but it has to come straight to the chest, right angle, parallel to the ground. You don't want to bring it too deep. Shrugs as well are really bad for your shoulders. And an upright row, you just got to be careful you don't go too far. You can do a shoulder press, that's fine, and a seated row. All great exercises you can do that don't put too much impact on your shoulder. Alright, with the lower back, a lot of people experience lower back pain. It seems to be increasing as we get older. We put a lot of pressure on our lower back. So when we are doing exercises, people with lower back pain, it's important not to overload the lower back too much. So deadlifts are a big no-no. If you're going to do squats, you want to make sure that your back is supported. So squats with a fit ball against the wall, perfect exercise to do. Also seated row can put a lot of pressure on your lower back. So you want to make sure that you're supported by the chest. And also remember to stretch your lower back because that's very important as well. People with hypertension, they've got really high blood pressure, so we've got to be careful not to put too much pressure on the heart. So with cardio, we want to keep it at a low, moderate intensity. We can increase it depending on how badly the client is. With their medication, you want to make sure that they're taking their medication. You want to find out when, what time, so that it doesn't interfere with the workout. Cool down must be extended because if they're taking medication, if exercise comes to an abrupt stop, it can actually cause the blood pressure to go too low, so it's really important to extend that cool down period. Exercises to avoid, you don't want to have your feet above your head, you don't want to hold your breath, you don't want to have weights above your head, and you don't want to do rapid posture changes because they're all putting a lot of pressure on the heart, and we want to avoid that. Isometric
exercises, you want to avoid that as well. And you want to, it's probably a lot healthier for the heart to do single reps. So if you're going to do a bent over row instead of doing both hands, it'd be a lot safer to do one arm at a time, so that the heart doesn't have to work as hard.